Hey guys, I hope these videos are going okay. Remember to email me or to post something up on Google Classrooms if you don't get anything that we're talking about. So our overall goal today is to look at the nature of God. I'd like you to have at least 2 periods to look at the nature of God. And think about that, and then I'd like you to, once you've finished all the questions that I gave you last time, to start looking at the problem of evil, because you can only really get the problem of evil if you understand the definitions and the concepts that people have used in the past to describe what God is, okay? So that's why our goal says, after having considered the nature of God, we will see how some philosophers have reconciled the possibility of its existence, so that's God's existence, with the existence of evil. Our overall goal is we're going to name and define problems that have been identified throughout Western philosophy. Then we are going to name and define theodicies. And I'm going to tell you what theodicies are right now. Theodicies are arguments against the problem of evil. So they are attempts to reconcile the problem of evil and say, look, I see your problem, but here is a defense, okay? And then we're going to explore our own contentions about what we believe, okay? All right, so our APK is to draw a picture of, the APK is to draw a picture of the most evil villain you've ever seen in a cartoon that you liked when you were a kid. Okay? Alright, so could you copy these? Could you then go ahead and score yourself on them? Once that's done, could you then draw your APK, share your APK with your next door neighbour, and talk about your favourite TV? Okay? Alright, well, once that's done, and once you've had a chat, I really hope that you did do everything I asked you to do, because I've only really got 2 lessons planned to go over 3 periods. So that should be easy enough to do while I'm not here. I would like you to just go ahead and take notes, alright? So I thought of SpongeBob, and lucky for me, I found out what SpongeBob would look like if he was a well-off hitman. And this is what he looks like if he's going to take a hit. And if you ask me, that's a pretty that's a pretty menacing SpongeBob. I would not like to see that very menacing SpongeBob. That would scare me like I wouldn't believe. Sorry, having a yawn. So really, that's my picture that tries to represent evil. And when philosophers from the point of view of God have talked about different types of evil, they've divided it usually into 2 categories, the natural and the moral. The natural is pretty easy to explain. The natural is any evil thing that happens because of some kind of worldly disaster or any kind of disaster, and that would include a flood, a famine, or it would include a plague. All right? But there are also man-made or humanly chosen disasters, and they would be things like oppression, war, poverty. And we need to distinguish between the two while we're actually having this discussion about the problem of evil. If you haven't guessed, really the problem of evil is, how can God exist if he's supposed to be if he lets evil occur, but he's supposed to be omnibenevolent and omniscient and, of course, omnipotent or omnipotent. All right? So right now I want you to just record 2 definitions of these, and to make sure you have a non-linguistic representation of an example of both a moral and a natural evil. Okay? Right, so the problem therein lies isn't God supposed to be perfect? Just like David Hasselhoff. No, I don't think David Hasselhoff is perfect. In fact, I don't think he's perfect in any way, shape or form. He's a bit up himself if you ask me. But he likes to think he's perfect, so I put a picture of him there. And a lot of people are saying, well, maybe God is not perfect. How can God be perfect? How can he be omnibenevolent? How can he be omniscient? How can he be omnipotent if, and this is what I mean, if he allows evil in the world to occur? So now you need to stop this video and just write down that number 1 problem, okay? Write it down, teacher side of your workbook. So to deal with these problems, philosophers have come up with theodicies. Now, theodicies are special defenses that try to reconcile the fact that evil exists, but God is still perfect. So they are defenses, alright, that allow evil to exist but still say God is perfect. And the first Theodicy is called the free will defense, which basically says that God gave us a gift, and that gift was the gift of free choice. And of course, what greater gift could anyone give us to experience higher pleasures and to really be conscious of who we are in the world than to give us the ability to have free will? That's one of the greatest gifts. And a completely omnibenevolent God would basically give that to you. But the contradiction is, it's also really inconsistent to give that to you, because what if we misuse it? Obviously, bad things will happen if we misuse our free choice. So therefore, that's not omnibenevolent, because you're allowing evil things to happen. But it isn't. But it is omnibenevolent to give people the gift of free will, because that's the ultimate loving thing a person could do. So, again, a lot of philosophers have said the fact that free will is supposed to be a gift, a beautiful gift given to us by an all-loving God, contradicts his omnibenevolence because it allows bad things to happen. It also contradicts his omnipotence and his omniscience. If he knows that, why would he give that to you if he knows you're going to misuse it, right? Why would he give it to you if he therefore takes away his power to stop bad things from happening? Another thing that people have said is that this free will defense is very good at describing why moral evils exist and how God can still be perfect, but it's very bad at explaining things that happen by fate and by chance, which are the natural evils. So can you spend about 5 minutes just taking down some notes, putting in non-linguistic representations for me as well, and having a chat to your friends to see if you've got an accurate record of the things that I've said. So some other clever philosophers have had a look at this free will defense, and they still say free will exists. But what God's really doing, because the earthly realm or the flesh realm isn't really as significant as the spiritual realm, is God's putting in place degrees of higher goods. So, I could walk grandma across the road, and that would be a low-level good. But if I was confronted with a really horrible evil, like an abuse of a child, or an oppression of some kind of indentured worker or a slave, and I stood up and basically made life better, made life right for that person, I would be able to experience higher goods, because it's obviously a much higher and stronger ethical good to save someone from oppression or save someone from abuse than it is to walk grandma across the road. Do you get what I mean? So there's this argument of moral balance. With every greater evil comes even greater good. I'll let you make your mind up about how you feel about that one, but you need to take a note about it, please. And the last one is called the Irenaean Theodicy, because it is a theodicy that's existed in a lot of different religions, not just Christianity, and it basically argues this. It's a test. Basically, life is nothing but a series of tests designed to test our character and to see how we rise up against evil and to see how good we are. And if we are very good, we go to heaven. If we're very bad, we go to hell. And also, this test is really important because we really need to get the fact that this is a test, because we don't really understand God's true plan. Our mind is limited, so sorry, we're closed. We can't access everything that God's trying to achieve. So a lot of times when God is testing us to see if we're good, or if God is putting in place higher goods, we just don't get it. We just don't understand it because we don't understand the great plan. Hence the phrase that a lot of people have said, the Lord works in mysterious ways. All right, so record a note, and once you've done that, I'd like you to go on to some questions. I'll explain what they are later. Okay, so the questions that I would like you to explore are, basically, these are really simple. I'd like you to do the discussion questions on chapters 226. And then if you do finish that and you're at third period, or the third period I'm away, which will be on Monday, I'd like you to write an essay about how you feel about evil and whether or not God's existence can be reconciled by these theodicies. If God's nature and the way we've defined God can be reconciled by these kind of theodicies and these explanations, I'd like to know. So write me a one-page, free-form essay, not overly structured, once you finish those questions. Okay? Cheers.